to Health Talks. We're so excited because we're finally back together again. Today we want to share with you some of our own secrets and our journeys about why we eat the way we eat and how we do that. So Mel, tell us why you converted from vegetarianism to vegan to paleo. Did I get that right?
Yes. Well, I thought I was doing, the right thing for my body at that time, and actually I was doing the complete opposite to what my body really needed. And I was a vegetarian and a vegan for a lot of reasons, mainly because the way the animals were killed, but also I was doing it though, but I was uneducated about why I was doing it. Then I went and studied nutrition and worked out, our body needs fats and our body needs that sort of stuff to function. And I had a whole lot of hormonal imbalances and things all out of whack. And I found that when I started to integrate really good quality fat back into my diet, like grass-fed, grass-finished, happy meat, and avos and all that sort of stuff, my body started to balance out again, and hormonally things went the way they're meant to go, and my skin got better and everything.
Wow.
So how many though people actually do that? They eat because they think it's the right thing to do, and ethically that they're doing the right thing, which is, that's another topic altogether, really, isn't it? But how many people do that thinking that they're doing the right thing for their body, but they're coming into it uneducated? So it's fine to cut out certain things, but you need to be replacing them with other things.
Exactly. And that was something for me. Like I had no idea what I was really doing, but after really listening and getting back in tune with what my body was trying to tell me, and like what you said before, your body, if given the chance, can heal and is amazing, but I had to get out of the way and let it do its magic. And it's amazing what it's done.
And the other thing you shared with me earlier was that in doing that, you didn't menstruate for a year.
A year, so yes.
As a vegetarian?
As a vegetarian and vegan, no menstruating for a year. And my body was just going like all over the place. But as soon as I started to replenish, I started off with a little bit of bone broth, just replenishing that back into my body. Wow. Everything just balanced back out again. And my skin was flawless. I had adult acne, which is now gone. And everything, I had more energy. I used to have a nap in the afternoon. Like all of that sort of thing. Everything just got back into balance. And I think the key was listening to my body and trusting that my body knew what it was doing.
Sure.
And that's the thing, everyone gets these books and is like, oh, I want to do the zone diet. I want to do this diet, but they've got no understanding. And it's about, yes, you can take bits and information from different diets and people and that sort of thing, but it's really about you and trusting and what does your body need.
I think intuitive eating is such a extraordinary journey that many people are so disconnected from that, and that opportunity to pigeonhole and to classify and label yourself as a certain kind of eater or following a certain pathway is fine, but there's room for individuality in all of those programs. What about you, Nat? What do you?
The thing is that I studied Chinese medicine, so prior to doing that, I had a terrible diet when I first started uni. I was like, I'm free. I lived with my mum and dad, and mum had the best diet and the best intentions, and we lived very cleanly, and I broke away from that, and I also gained maybe 14, 15 kilos in doing that when I first started at uni. It was like KFC.
You just rebelled.
I just rebelled because I could. And it took me a really long time. Now, I shared another time that I was at uni for 10 and a half years, and I actually didn't notice until I'd finished those 10 and a half years that I did lose weight effortlessly. It's a big word. But that was also because of my understanding the way that the Chinese view the body, and they appreciate that it's not a one-size-fits-all, and you need to fit your diet in with your circumstances, where you are at that time as well. Also, your environment plays a big role as to how you should be eating too. So there's so many factors. For us, we predominantly eat paleo, but I don't like to label it, and I think we've shared together as we've been chatting that we don't like to label the way that we eat because it does create boundaries. And then not only that, you might have a a week or two where you need to eat differently, and
Yeah.
someone will pull you up and say, hey, I didn't think you
Yeah.
ate that way, you're
Yeah.
a fraud or whatever, when in actual fact you're listening to your body, which is
Yeah.
coming back to what Sam was saying before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the way that I've arrived at the way that we eat in our family. But I think what's really important and interesting to address is how Jess eats, because your background's completely different again.
Absolutely. Mine is, I'm kind of opposite to Mel. I was a big meat eater. I was one of those people who thought that if I didn't have meat 2-3 times a day, I wasn't going to be full. And it was poor quality meats. I was known to eat like the processed meats because I didn't know how to cook. Everything came out of a
Yeah,
box
of
or a
course,
microwave
right.
or something like that, or the takeaway or the drive-through. So I wasn't eating properly. I didn't really know how to feed myself until I had to learn how to feed myself, because I was forced very reluctantly to become vegan in order to heal my body from cancer, because cancer feeds off animal protein. So anybody who's diagnosed with cancer, it is a really good idea to become vegan, at least while you're healing. And so that's what I did. And what I discovered was that my body thrived on this vegan diet. As soon as I removed meat, my body just started to balance itself out. I lost weight, and not because I had stopped eating. I was eating way more than I ever had before. I mean, I'm a massive eater.
She is.
I saw it in the cooking school.
Yeah, I eat a lot of food, and
Good on the fang, aren't you?
And that's another misconception, you know.
Yeah,
People think
yeah.
vegan is just this rabbit food.
Yeah.
But
Hell no. I eat
not.
so much food, and people always comment about how much I eat, and I don't put on weight because it's all beautiful, fresh, whole foods.
Clean.
And I don't like to pigeonhole myself either. I mean, people always say to me, you're a vegan, and they say it on my website, but if I write about like honey or the benefits of eating like organic butter or
Yeah.
something, I get slammed.
Yeah.
But I don't like to pigeonhole myself and label myself as a
Sure.
vegan.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, my body's thriving off this vegan diet, but in 10 years down the track, it might
Totally.
change. And I don't want to be chained to that label
Yeah.
and feel like I can't change myself if my body requires it.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, being vegan, I have done a lot of research and read a lot of books and watched a lot of documentaries, and the whole animal part of it is just a big thing for me now. I can't stand the way animals are treated
Yep.
in the factory farming system. And
Yeah.
that's where the majority of our meat is
Yeah.
coming from these days, unless you source the
Good
good quality
Yeah.
meats, which
And
a lot of people
first-class
don't.
proteins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
A
I
lot of
remember
people don't.
actually at one of Sam's classes you were saying if it comes in a package,
Yeah.
what are you doing that for? Don't eat it.
Yeah,
You need to
it
go and
comes in
get
a
meat
box.
that's cut, you know, like
Yeah.
the butcher, and they give it to you and they serve it up, and it's
Yeah.
and it tastes amazing too.
Oh,
of
it
course.
tastes so much better. I've been to where my farmers get all their meat from, and
Have you?
yeah, and it's so amazing, and it's all grass fed and grass finished, and everything's just so beautiful, and it just tastes so much better. And yeah, I don't know how you could
Yeah.
eat the other
Yeah,
stuff.
factory farming should be illegal. It
Yeah.
breaks my heart the way these beautiful animals are treated.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I knew that way back when I ate meat, and I didn't really care. I didn't associate the meat on my plate with an animal. But now, after having no meat in my body for over 4 years, I feel sick at the sight of eating it, the thought of eating it, I should say. Yeah, and it's funny how our bodies are like that. Like when we start to eliminate that from our bodies, we crave what they want.
And people
things.
must always
Yeah.
say to you, "Oh, but where do you get your energy from?
Yeah.
You must be always tired," and
Yeah.
things like
No,
that.
I have so much energy.
Yeah.
And so, Jess, that's the reason that you can do this is because you've researched and you understand why. You haven't just woken up and gone, I'm just going to cut meat out, and
Yeah.
now I'm vegan.
Yes,
Yeah.
I tried to do that one for a week, I think, in grade 10.
Yeah.
And I ended up eating a sausage roll, which granted probably wasn't meat.
Yeah.
But I broke that deal. But no, this time around I did. I studied nutrition. I went to Mexico where I started my cancer healing therapy. And I learnt how to be a proper vegan. I don't just eat pasta and lettuce leaves. I eat nuts, beans, seeds, legumes, leafy greens, everything that I'm getting enough protein and calcium that my body requires.
I think protein combining is the most important thing, and that's often the subject that's been neglected when people convert to veganism. Or they don't understand it, as you say. They just think, I'm going to eat lettuce leaves and tofu, and that's going to be it.
And tofu.
And they
I
wonder
don't eat any
why-
tofu.
Yeah, and they wonder why they experience mineral deficiencies. Why don't you eat tofu?
Tofu is really, really bad for your hormones. That's one of the things. It's also genetically modified. What does it do? It mimics estrogen in the body. So
estrogen, yeah.
so it's going to be bad for all of your lady parts.
Yeah.
That's one of the things.
Lady
And
parts.
and it contrary to popular belief, it is actually not good for cancer at all. Yeah.
We say in my cooking school, I've always said that unfermented soy products are considered a junk food, and soy milk is considered a junk food.
Yeah.
And from my training and my background and research in Chinese medicine, tofu and unfermented soy are exceptionally dampening and moistening, and therefore give rise to an overproduction of mucus, which can then proliferate to a whole lot of different areas of degenerative disease and so forth, potentially. It's not just about the tofu. We look at fermented foods. I have some fermented foods. For me, I flirted with vegetarianism. I always used to say I was a closet vegetarian. But it didn't really work for me, and it's interesting because my blood type's A neg, and there's a blood type diet that many people may be aware of, that A neg suits more of a vegan lifestyle, but I was the most bad-tempered vegan and vegetarian you've ever met. I was just constantly grumpy, and I'd be like, why is he having meat? So anyway, I had a crack at that. I was training with a guy called Paul Pitchford, who
love him,
certified with him, and I was governed by his book and his regenerative health program. So I tried vegetarianism for about 6 months, and I looked good and I felt great and I got smaller and stuff. But as I say, my emotional health wasn't so great with it. Maybe because I needed other minerals and so forth. In the last 9 months, I've gone more into the world of paleo, which for those who don't know, paleo is essentially a higher protein diet with very low, if no grain at all. And what I found for me, being on my feet 12 hours a day in a commercial kitchen, plus doing a lot of traveling and touring with my other work, or my work, full stop, is that I had no pain in my body. So taking the grains out, particularly, and processed flours, but especially grains, meant that the acid-forming foods that I used to be exposed to were eliminated, and the inflammation in my body from old road trauma and scar tissue completely went away. And that was such a testament for me to have a higher protein diet. I have more energy. I fast from 6 p.m. I do intermittent fasting, which is part of a paleo regime, from 6 p.m. till 10 a.m. about 5 nights a week. And then I kind of follow the 80-20 rule. I mean, I was a publican, I come from food, and I had a pub in Melbourne for 8 years, the Grace Darling Hotel. So for me to just be a purist about a certain diet is conflict of what my background is. So for me to kind of follow a higher protein, lots of fresh fish, sustainable fish, lots of vegetables, very little grains. I get my carbohydrates from root vegetables. I don't eat dairy very often unless it's an amazing restaurant. And I've been avoiding eggs since I was about 5 years old because they smell.
I'm the same. That's why I don't eat eggs.
I just don't like them.
Yeah,
Oh,
me
I
too.
love
80-20
eggs.
rule,
I eat eggs every day.
Yeah.
I
Most
do.
people do.
But
They
it's
love
funny
them.
that you say that, Sam, because when I first met you, you were at that point where you were trying to convince me that you were happy to be a vegetarian. I remember that.
People that
Yeah.
convince you.
When you find what works for you.
Exactly.
And the thing is too, if you can't find what works for you, there are people that can help you do that, and that's what we can do, or we can steer you in the right direction.
And it's also interesting to point out that even though we are all very different, the running theme is that we all try to eat organic, whole foods with nothing that's processed.
Absolutely.
Nothing that's man-made.
Yeah,
So we
exactly.
eat food as nature intended it
Real
to be.
food.
Real food. Yeah.
Nothing out of a
Unadulterated.
box and that sort of
I
stuff.
like to call it conscious cuisine.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Really think about the provenance of our food and the food chain and where it's come from. And then, as I say, there may be 10-20% where it's like, it doesn't matter. You go to a party, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because you have the capacity to rebuild and repair that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for us for this series. We hope you've enjoyed what we've had to bring to you. We're going to break for Christmas. We hope you have a lovely holiday. We do want to hear from you and what you want us to bring to you in the future. So please comment on all of these, and we'll be back in the new year to share with you.